Thomas, it's up for grabs now.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by pierre-emerick.
Here we are. There's two of us at the moment. We are going to be three. But before we go into all of that, good evening, all the loungers, and welcome to another edition of the Arsenal Lounge with myself and my fellow. I love this guy a lot. I've been looking forward to having him for a little while. Lee Judges. How you doing, bruv? You good?
I am all good, my man. Listen, it's been a while. You know what I think of you, and when you said Shaheen's on holiday, I said, get me on,
I know, mate. I know. Listen, since Shaheen's been gone, I've had so many calls and messages asking for people to come on. It's ridiculous. If you guys at home are wondering as well where Dan is, it's Obama Dan at the moment. He's doing an Obama Dan. He's running a little bit late. What car does he drive, Lee? He doesn't drive a Lambo, does he?
I think he's on a push bike, but don't quote me.
He's got a Boris bike, isn't he? It's one of them ones.
He's got a Boris bike.
He will be with us.
I've never seen his car, you know what I mean? He's always he's always got his hair fluffed up and all that. So I reckon he's definitely a push bike.
Do you reckon he pretends he's got a car? I reckon he does. Yeah, well, we'll find out anyway. So if you're wondering where Dan is, he will be here. He's just doing an Obama Dan for now. But look, mate, once we've got you here, mate, I've been chomping at the bit to ask you as well, because obviously you went. Did you go to Villa Park?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's where I'm going to start. Obviously, with the performances recently, because we haven't had a catch up. We've still kept the run going since we've last spoken, other than that little blip against Liverpool. How are you feeling with our performances at the moment, and how are you feeling about Arsenal right now?
Oh, look, listen, things have definitely picked up. You can't argue with that. Credit to everybody. But I'm going to say this now. These are the results that you expect us to win. You know what I mean? If you're going to get top four and be in a good side, these are the ones that you expect to win. The Liverpool game, well, even though we lost it, and Man City, the two games that we've lost, the performances have been really good. I've been I've actually come away from both games disappointed because we didn't get something from the game. You know what I mean? Like now, in the past, it's just, just keep the score down, keep it respectable, whatever. But I was genuinely, with the way we played in those two games, disappointed that we didn't get something from the game. So that's an improvement. But defensively, I think we're so much better at this moment in time. I'm really enjoying the defence. Partey and Xhaka in front of that. Partey, by the way, has been outstanding in the last
few games. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And I can tell you this now, I am buzzing for the next Arsenal game. Unfortunately, I don't know with my knee at the moment whether I can get to Salzburg, because I tell you what, it was hard work walking around, doing a lot of walking. If anybody's been to Selhurst Park, it's quite a bit of a walk and everything like that. So I'm a little bit hesitant whether I'm going to go or not. But I've got to get. I'll make a decision. Hopefully, the knee will be a little bit better. But the atmosphere in the Villa Park, I'm going to say this now. It was like back in the old days, back in the days before the Wenger in and out brigade come in there. There's been lots of, you daren't say anything in the away end at times, because someone might have a go at you and whatever. And, I've been in there, I've seen arguments whether Theo Walcott should be in the team. I've seen arguments. So, blimey, it must
it's
have
got... Dan.
It must have come with a motorbike, right? You know what I mean?
Mate, I reckon he was at home. He's just got a big house. It takes a long time to get to his room.
The lift won't work.
Yeah. From the front room to this room, mate, I tell you, it takes good half hour. Do you know what I mean? So, how you doing, boys? You good?
Good. Yeah,
so to have you, mate. Go on, Lee.
You'd be scared to say something because someone would have a go at you or whatever. Like there was fractions in no denying that there was fractions in the Arsenal fan base. On Saturday, Dan was with me as well, so we can verify this. The atmosphere and the togetherness was there for the whole time. Now it was like when before the game. Now you got I don't know what time Dan got up, but I was up about 5:30. But everybody was lively before the game, even though it was at 12:30. Everybody was buzzing all together. Songs, gets into the ground. Atmosphere was fantastic. Everything back when we come out of the ground, You know, everybody was together, no arguing. It was just, if you see someone who was shaking hands and what this and what that. When I look back on it, it was an okay performance. It wasn't one of those mad out performances when we played rugby. We'd done everything right, but it didn't matter. The fan base was great. On the train, look, what was it like on the station on the way back down? Like, we was all having a laugh, everybody joining in on the train, going back into the city centre, everybody singing on the train. Got to the city centre, going to bars with you, bumped into Arsenal fans, Arsenal and all that. Like, you know, it was how it used to be. Fantastic atmosphere, and I feel a connection now between the fans and the players. I really do, like, you know what I mean. And that's not something you can just say has happened. Something's happened between the players and the fans to get that, like, you know. It's fantastic, and it's been really. It was a really enjoyable day out, and it was really like the old days. And you know, that's how away games should be. No one arguing with each other. You're a family. You're all together. You're up in Birmingham. There was a little bit of trouble, weren't there, outside the pub? Me and Dan weren't there, but when it was going off, like,
I heard Dan started it. That's what I heard.
Well, I don't know if he
Normally.
But listen, I mean, it's funny. It's funny you're saying this, Lee, because this is exactly how we're seeing it as well. But the away fans are very loud. You can hear them every game, right? And on top of that, there seems to be a connection between the players and the fans again that we haven't had in a long time. Dan, I'd like to bring you in on this, and thank you for coming, bruv. I know it was a difficult one for you on that
having
journey.
me, man.
No, man, anytime. But look, Dan, I wanted to ask you as well whilst you're here. I mean, firstly, a quick catch up with how you're feeling about the performances recently. And now that Lee's touched on it as well, I definitely feel that this is the first time in a very long time that there's a connection between the fans and the players, and we that's because we see players that we are proud to have in our side. They're putting in the graft. Even if we've lost, you can see the effort and the desire to do well. So I think that's a good thing. But obviously, it's also rubbing people up the wrong way. Media complaining, people complain about how much we're celebrating. So I'd like to touch on that as well. But bro, let's catch up. I mean, how do you feel about Arsenal's performances right now and where we're at?
Yeah, it's interesting when you say about that, Lev, that people don't like it. People don't like it because we're starting to play well. People wanted to see us struggling. People want to see us. This is Arsenal, a huge club. The media love it when teams like that are struggling. And now that we're starting to play well, people don't quite like it, do they? All of a sudden, they're starting to moan about it. Oh, what are you celebrating for? You haven't won anything. And as much as, you know, I am a little bit for celebrations, I don't think that we have been over the top, really. I think that we've been celebrating good performances, and I think that we've been enjoying it. And like Lee said, home and away this season, I've been to the majority of games, and there's definitely a connect between the fans and the players. And I think the manager deserves a lot of credit for that. And I've been very critical of the process, and particularly Mikel Arteta of the last couple of years. And I think that what I'm starting to see now is changes within the style of play more than anything. I think that we've changed the formation. We're no longer going with this 4-2-3-1. He seems to have looked at what we have got, and I think he deserves a lot of credit as well for the recruitment. I like the players. There's a lot of people that don't like Mikel Arteta or don't like the process or the owners. One thing I have enjoyed is the players. I've always said the players have been good enough. I think the players are good enough for top four. I do. I just didn't think we were going to get top four because I didn't think the manager had got things right and proved to me over the last 2 years that he was good enough to challenge for top four. Now what we're starting to see is a little bit more of a style of play. And that was something I called him out for. Can you be consistent and can you show me a style of play? And I think now he's starting to show the fans that, yeah, we have got a style of play. We've got a formation. We've got a system. There's a little diamond in midfield. There's some triangles going right and left. There's partnerships at the back, partnerships in the middle. Brilliant width down the right and the left-hand side. We're not lopsided anymore. We went through a left-hand side, which the right-hand side weren't really working. I think we're very, very good down both sides now. So I think he's starting to answer some of those questions, and he's starting to convince people that we are showing some progress after all. And I think what Lee brings up, which is great, is the connect between the fans, because that Villa game, the Wolves game at the Emirates, where we scored in the last minute, we were staying till the end. We're the last people in the stadium. Watford as well. We were the last people in the stadium. Many times where we've been asked the wins, we've thought, right, brilliant win, right, let's get back. But that's mostly because the players just go down the tunnel. It seems now the players don't just come and do a round of a clap and then they bugger off. They actually stay out, they swap shirts, they start getting involved with the songs, they're lifting us, they're chanting us, and the manager has come out on every single game that I've been to as well and has clapped. We never really saw that from Arsene Wenger, did we? We never really saw it from Unai Emery. He used to just go down the tunnel. So I think Arteta is getting involved with it as well. And, you know, as much as I'm not, you know, set on this whole manager and process, I think at the moment you have to admit, whether you like it or not, whether you're for it or not, that we've shown progress. And at the moment, we are playing well. And I think that no matter what game we've gone into, it looks like we have always had at least a chance of being in the game. And I didn't expect that when we went into the Liverpool game the other week. I thought last time I was here, it was 4-0 at Anfield. Let's hope it ain't that again. And although we lost the game, and to be honest, didn't really feel like we were going to win it at all, I thought we were in the game for the majority of it. And it only was until the last sort of 10, 15 that we let ourselves down with a couple of bad errors. So I think now we're going into games thinking, do you know what? I'm actually confident today. And I haven't been like that for a while, Lev. It's been a while since I've gone into games enjoying watching Arsenal, liking the way we're playing. And sometimes you have to hold your hands up and say, do you know what? I haven't been a fan of what I've seen of the last 2 years. But certainly I think 2022 has been a very, very good year for the Arsenal and for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that. I mean, I'm in the same camp as you, Dan. You know, me and Lee knows this as well. You know, when he used to be on our shows from before, we say there's nothing wrong with being a flip-flop as a fan, because fans have always historically been flip-flops, right? In the sense of you never get everything right. You think one player is going to be great, and he turns out not to be, and you think another player is going to be average, and he turns out to be far better than you imagine. Same goes with managers. It could happen. But I'm glad you're saying it, because I've seen a lot of differences too. Like the first time I really saw the patterns of play, purposely play, you know, you could see that the guys all knew what they were doing, was that Watford game. And I just thought to myself, this could be a one-off. It could be, you know, we just, but the last couple of games, the same interchanges, the same triangles, the same patterns, the same movement, the same quick move, like passes on the edge of the boxes that you wouldn't expect. There's a lot of differences there. And it's clear to see that Arteta has had some influence. He has got a style of play in there. Maybe it has taken the players a bit of time. And plus he had to get rid of a lot of dead wood. Some of that dead wood is doing okay. Some of that dead wood has proven he was correct to get rid of. I mean, we can go into that later on. But, I mean, how are you guys feeling about Arteta at the moment then? I mean, Dan, you've historically said, you know, wasn't convinced, and I said the same. Lee, I mean, you said similar. How are you feeling about him at the moment? Are you starting to think like he's the man for the job?
Personally, not at this moment in time. I'm still very much on the fence. If you be honest, I've jumped back on the fence. Sorry about that, but that's how I feel at this moment. But what I'm seeing,
new there, Lee.
Nothing new there. Sorry about that, like you know what I mean. But what I'm seeing now, I have been impressed with. You know, when you said like the game changer for me was Man City. I went into that game. I've not seen a team. I know we lost the game. Forget about that. But I've not seen a team absolutely dominate and outplay and outpass and outfootball Manchester City. Always, it's always been Man City defend, drop down, let them have hit them on the break, let them have all the ball, and hope. There was a different thing about Arsenal that game. They played really, really well. It was a couple of mistakes that cost us, and I don't look at the penalty as that. I look at Gabriel making a little mistake and all that, like, and a bit of a defensive mistake at the end. I think it was from holding. Other than that, it was an exemplary performance, and that was the one that encouraged me. Now, obviously, after that, we lost all our players through COVID and whatever. As soon as we got them all back, we produced again some good performances, and up until the Liverpool game again. Now, as much as that hurts me that we didn't win those games, you have to accept that Liverpool and Man City at this moment are on a different level. They're on a different level to everybody, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe as well. One of them two teams, barring a miracle, will win the Champions League. One of them obviously win the Premier League. Could be one of them on his own. Who knows? That someone could. Liverpool actually could win 4 trophies this year. Can you believe that? Like, and I wouldn't put it against them at the moment. That's the bar that has been set. Frightening. Now, the fact from our point of view is that the next one is Chelsea. We're not as far as Chelsea as we are the other two. But what happens now is we got to beat everybody else in and around us, and not only that, and produce those performances, and that we're doing. Credit to the manager, credit to the players. But ultimately, when Mikel didn't have his players, what happens. So it's always a lot of, when people go, oh, it's Mikel Arteta, it's this and it's that, or it's good players help a manager. You know what I mean? Pep Guardiola would not win the league with Watford's players. Simple as that. As good as a coach he is, you've got to have the players. So now with the players that we've got, we have got a team that is worthy of challenging. What it then needs is someone to tactically and manage it. And I felt in the past that probably that wasn't happening. I've seen a change, guys. I have seen a change because at the end of the day, we do look like we're seeing out games. I look at the game.
He was learning on the job as well, so I'm sure he was going to make mistakes while he was doing it, right?
Of course he was. And he was making mistakes on the job, you know what I mean? And he probably still is making mistakes on the job at this moment in time. But because you're winning, you don't see them. But there probably are mistakes being made. But ultimately, yeah. And that's what probably gives me the ump, gives you the ump, gives Dan a lot of fan bases that we shouldn't have someone learning on the job at Arsenal. But we've done that. So we've gone through that hell of a year last season where I don't care who you was, when you're losing 10 games at home and you're not scoring whatever, you're entitled to moan. You're entitled to say you're not happy, especially when you're paying top money for it as well, by the way, Now, this season, it's been different. There has been a shift. There has actually been a shift from last Christmas to this Christmas to now, you know what I mean? There has been a bit of improvement. But ultimately, this season, it's gelling together. We have got good players. If one or two of those players get injured, that's when our Mikel has got to come in and do it. Like Klopp done last season, had loads of injuries, and you look. I had more admiration for Klopp getting that team to fourth last season than winning titles because he had all the players. He didn't have the players. He had to mix and match of defence, but he still got over the line to get into the top four. And you think, wow, what a good manager he is. And that's what Mikel will do. But ultimately, he's doing a good job at the moment, and you cannot knock it. But at the end of the day, still saying this now, it's thin lines, guys. If Tottenham come in and get that fourth spot, what are people going to say? Because of Conte, because of the experience and whatever. So what Mikel's now got to do is nail fourth and then push on. But I've been very, very impressed with the way he goes about it. Listen, I'm going to name drop here after the Wolves game, bumped into him. And
you name dropped before we come on the show. You was name dropping left, right, and centre. We'll have to.
And I said
go through some of those in a minute.
You've got to lead me into it, but you haven't. So
I will, mate. I will. I promise.
Right. But anyway, he went round the whole meeting, the whole people, whether it was Wolves fans as well. They didn't have to do that. I know we'd won the game, but he still, went round the coach, talking, and I just thought, well, that's a classy guy. Whether you think you like him or not, as a manager, as a person, I thought, do you know what? That's class. You know what I mean? And I walked away from that game. Me and Steve walked away going, God, you know what I mean? He's spoken to everybody, you know what I mean? Took a photo with everybody, had time for everybody. He didn't have to do that, and I thought, that was the first thought. I thought, he's a very, very clever man as well. He's a lucky man. He's a lucky manager. He's got everything going for him, you know what I mean? But he's also very, very clever.
The ladies love him as well, and I can't stand that. It just bugs me. Come in and go, who's that? Yeah, perfect there. That's not what we want to see, Lee. Is
really, but there you go.
Dan, I'll bring you in on this as well then. So, look, obviously I want to hear your thoughts on Arteta, but then I'll throw another little bit in as well after what Lee's just said, because it's, I was sort of planning on going there with this anyway. But you mentioned the fine lines. Lee's mentioned that. Now, this is where the weird thing is with the mentality of fans, because some fans will say, you get fourth, you've lowered your aspirations as a fan because fourth is all, you're happy with fourth and we should be title challengers. But then the other side of the coin is, well, we knew we weren't at that level anymore. We dropped. It happens in cycles. Football happens in cycles. Man United were the best team for a while. We were. Liverpool were, and then they dropped off, and then now they're back. It happens in cycles. It's always happened that way. But how do you see it, Dan, in the sense of if he doesn't make top four, and God willing he does, but if he doesn't make top four, where do you stand with that? Is it a failure or is he overachieving? That's another question I'd like to ask you as well, mate.
So let's start with that. I think it's a failure if we don't get into the top four because of how we've put ourselves in this position. I do.
You mean as in where we are now?
Yeah, where we are now. I didn't think we'd get top 4, not because I thought the team were crap. I might add, a lot of people say the team was crap, or I don't think the team is crap. I think the team has proved that it's good. I didn't think the manager was ready to take us to that next level because I saw 8th place, and I thought without Europe, I think you'll get closer, but I still don't think you're quite good enough. From what you've shown me, you could be absolutely outstanding this season and turn things around, and we get into the top 4. And let's hope that is the case because it's looking towards that now. But if we don't get it now, it means something's drastically gone wrong. So we have to put blame to somebody there. Whether you put the blame on the whole 20 players, whether you put it on the manager, whether you put it on the ownership or Edu for not buying someone, whoever, somebody will get the blame for it, right? So something would have gone wrong. My worry is, Lev, that we have got some difficult games. We've got difficult games. And I actually think there's 4 that are really difficult, not the 4 big ones. I actually think Palace is one of the biggest ones, which I think is going to be difficult. I like the way they play. I think Vieira's done a great job, and I think they set up well. I think Chelsea's going to be difficult. I think Spurs is going to be difficult. And I think Manchester United is going to be difficult, right? So they're the ones I think are going to be hard. I think we will do this. I think we will. You know, someone asked me the other day, what do you think will happen? I think we'll get 4th. I think we will, because I think that we'll have enough points from the other games. But we can't afford to lose more, in my opinion, than 2. I don't think we can afford to lose more than 2 games. And if we lose 2, we can't draw any. We got to win all of the others, right? That's how close it is. Then you look at, is Arteta the man for the job? What does that mean? What does that mean, the man for the job? So is the Arsenal manager that's going to win us the title? Or is the Arsenal manager that's just going to get us into the Champions League and then we leave him, someone else comes in and he takes us to the title? I think a lot of people want him to take us to the title, like I do. Is he going to do that? There's still question marks that he can do that for me. So if he's not the man to take us to the title, there's a question mark of, well, what's he here for then? Well, okay, he's here to get us into the Champions League, and then we get in somebody else who's a winner or a proven winner, and we go again. I don't think that. I think Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke want Arteta here for the long run, for the next 5 years, and they're going to just see how far he can get. That's what I think they're trying to look at. That's the process, project, whatever it be. Now, whether you back that or believe that doesn't really matter, because that is basically what's going to happen. We're going to be with this guy for a good few years. He would have been sacked by now, in my opinion. You know, you can't lose to Villarreal and lose to Emery and not get sacked. You know, so he's not going to get sacked. He's basically, you know, we could come 7th this year. He'll still be the manager. So if he doesn't get top 4, it has been a failure. And then when you look at this, you think everybody's really happy and excited at the moment. Of course, we're winning. I love that. Yeah, and I want it to remain. But when you look at what Manchester United's season's been like and what Tottenham's season's been like, people say, oh, they've had dreadful seasons, Man United and Tottenham. Absolutely shocking. Arsenal have had a good one, no? Arsenal have had a really good season. That worries me, Lev, because what happens when we have a bad season and Liverpool and Man United and Tottenham have a good season? Because we are only 3 points ahead of them at the moment, having a good season. What happens if they have a good season and we have a bad season? Are we then going to be... Because if we were 12 points clear of them, I'd be saying now, we've had a great season. They've had a terrible season. Wow, we're 12 points clear. But everyone's saying we've had a great season. They've had a shocking season. But what? We're only 3 points ahead of them? That's worrying then, because they only need a couple of games in hand to win. And all of a sudden, we're looking terrible again. So that's how close it is personally at the moment. That's the thin lines we're talking about. So I love the way we're playing. I love the consistency we've shown. In 2022, we've only lost to Manchester City, Liverpool, and of course, dropped points to Burnley. Everything else we've won 10 of our last 13. We're showing consistency. I like the style of play. I think what Thomas Partey and Odegaard have done is inspirational in midfield. Absolutely instrumental has Odegaard been. And Partey in that anchor role looks fantastic. We are still missing a forward. We all know that. And we know where we're lacking in terms of upgrades and potential backup players. There's no rocket science to that. And in the summer, I think we'll do that. But we need to get top 4 because it's staring us right in the face. And if we do not, it's not like it's ajar, this door. This drawer is wide open for us. Yeah. Win your games. It's in your hands. Win those games. Top 4 is yours. And I just, you know, it's interesting. I had a conversation with someone the other day who asked me that and said, why is everybody saying Arsenal have had such a great season? United and Spurs have had a bad one. Why are you only 3 points ahead of them then? If you've had a good season, where was you supposed to come? 10th? So I thought, good point. Good point. Maybe it is a point to discuss. So that's where I'm at.
Dan, is that the case? Or is that, could you be looking at perception is a massive thing. So could it be that we're in that position because these guys have had a bad run and we weren't expecting to be in the top 4 chase right now, were we? Let's be honest. Could it be that we're in that top 4 race because these guys have dropped the ball and then we got to capitalize on it?
I think you're right there with the latter. I don't think we've overachieved. A lot of people think we overachieved. I'm not sure that we have overachieved. If Manchester United and Spurs were on the similar points of Chelsea, Liverpool and City, and we were still in touching race for top 4, that would be an overachievement for me. If our points total was on the similar to Chelsea, Liverpool and City, then I'd be going, wow, I didn't think we'd be within boys whatsoever. For Manchester United and Spurs to then be having a poor season and for Arsenal to be overachieving, that can't make sense, surely. That cannot make sense, because we were supposed to be, in my opinion, I don't look at Tottenham's side and go, oh, wow, we ain't catching them. Look at how good they are. I also don't look at Manchester United like some people do and go, wow, there ain't no Arsenal players getting in that side. I think we've got a very, very good first 11 in comparison to Tottenham and Manchester United. So I think we should be right with them.
In all areas, in the midfield, defence, I think we are strong. My worry is up front. But Lee, I mean, you've heard what Dan's saying. Do you see it the same way? I mean, look, as well, what I can do is I looked at the NBC had an article on the top 4 running, and I actually took the liberty of bringing these up. And these guys were looking at it and judging the percentages as to who's going to reach top 4. So looking at ours, as Dan's rightly said, Tottenham, Chelsea and Liverpool, they're the games we're waiting on to be advised. The rest is Palace away, as Lee mentioned earlier, Brighton home. These are all winnable games. Palace, Brighton, Southampton, you could say we should expect to win those. Leeds. Newcastle's not going to be the easiest of games either now. I think they're a different side now. I mean, Lee, looking at this run in here, those 3 games you see at the bottom to be advised. Now I'm hearing as well, I don't know if it's been confirmed, you guys can maybe tell me, but they reckon they're going to be trying to get us to play those 3 games in 6 days. I don't know how true that is, but how do you feel looking at that running? And I've got all the other teams run-ins as well, like these boys as well. We can have a look at that in a minute, but how do you feel looking at that? Do you still feel confident that we're going to make that?
When you look at it, and put it in that context, no. But what you've got to look at is you've got to break it down.
Shit. Sorry, Lee.
You've got to break it down. You've got to break it down. The next 3 games, win those 3 games, I think they put yourselves in a...
it could be all the other games. Like Dan said, it could be all the other games that matter, and we need to acquire as many points, to accommodate for those 3 games when they come.
Exactly. The Chelsea, West Ham and... Tottenham games are massive games, but they won't be if we don't win our next 3 games. They're not important. It's immaterial. You've got to win those first 3 games to set those games up, and that's what we've got to do now. And I know it's an old cliche of 1 game at a time, but that's what basically it is. It's not a massive worry to me at the moment. Like, I look at these next 3 games. In those 3 games, Tottenham have got Aston Villa away, difficult game. They've got Newcastle at home, difficult game.
I can bring theirs up as well, Lee.
So they've got some,
there you go, mate.
They've got some couple of difficult games there. Brighton at home, I think they've got
the easiest, Lee. I think they've got the easiest fixtures out of the 4.
But those 3 games, first 3 games, I think Arsenal's are just as tough or just as easy as them. They're not easy. If they come out with it with 9 points and we come out of it 9 points, there's still a gap of 3 points. If they drop points and we get 9 points, we could go into the next bit of a run in 6-8 points in front. That's the key, to keep winning. So those 3 games are massive. Crystal Palace is a real tough game, as was Aston Villa. Why was we all happy? Because people will look at that and go, Aston Villa away, that's a potential banana skin. Now they're saying the Palace is a potential banana skin, which it is. Then you look at it and go, like, Southampton's a difficult one. But if you can get the 6 to 9, they get the 9 points from those 3 games, then you look at it and you go, right, now we attack Chelsea and Manchester United. Now, if we've got 9 points on the board, we might actually be, say, for instance, Spurs draw one of those games, and we're 5 points in front. If we did lose one or draw one, it ain't the end of the world, is it? We're still in a good position going into the Man United game. And then, that is the key. Win those games. Win the games that you can win. 7 wins out of our last 10, 11 games should be enough. So, get the 3 against Palace, Brighton. Is it Brighton? Yeah, Brighton. Brighton and Southampton. Then you've got 4 games to get. Now West Ham might be when we go to West Ham, they might be in the semi-finals of the Europa League. So that they might have to have one eye off of it. Like Chelsea might be in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Listen, we played Chelsea last season when we was the week before the cup final. I don't care what anybody says. We went there and won. We played well, but they had one eye on the cup final. So you never know what's going to happen. Like the fixtures may just go in our favour and all that, but they won't do unless we win games. We've got to win games. Let's look at it and say, forget about Tottenham, forget about Man United. Concentrate on us. We win our games. Doesn't matter what the other teams do. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how it is. It's in our hands. Tough as it is, those first 3 games are tough. But I think if we get 9 points, then I'll sit here and go, do you know what? We're gonna get top 4.
Well, let's hope, mate. It's gonna be very, very difficult. My only concern is that lack of striker in the big games. That's my only concern, because we saw with the game of Liverpool, we were, like Dan rightly said earlier on, we were in that game all the first half, but you never quite felt that we had that man to break the deadlock out of nowhere, just to do something special in that box, or take a man, beat a man, or a shot from outside the box, something that makes the difference. And that's my concern with these bigger games, these 3 games. So it's imperative for me that we get as many points under, in our pockets, under the belt, whatever way you want to put it, before those games come up. But that's one of those things. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, how do you feel we will cope if we play devil's advocate and said, Lacazette? If Lacazette got injured, what would happen tomorrow, Dan? Well, not tomorrow.
Yeah, this is a good question, isn't it? This is a good question, because we've been left short. We're paper thin, particularly in that position. Balogun's been allowed to go out on loan. Aubameyang's been allowed to leave. And Nketiah's still here, doesn't want to be here because he's not signing. And he's clearly not good enough, Lev. And it's frustrating me every time we're seeing this guy come on. I don't know why he's bringing him on still. No one can answer that. No one can defend it. It's a very bizarre substitution. And I wouldn't mind so much if it was like a substitution where he was just going to come and run around and give some legs. But against Villa, he couldn't be asked. He was really poor. He was lazy. He wasn't really doing anything, in my opinion. Every time he got the ball, he lost it. Pepe weren't much better, and I've been a bit, tried to get behind Pepe, because I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism, because I think he does deliver, and he does give, the numbers don't lie with Pepe, whether you like him or not, he scores goals. So as much as he's not my favourite player, I understood that substitution with Pepe, but Eddie Nketiah one's strange for me. If Lacazette gets injured, I think the only option we've got is to change our style of play and go with Martinelli through the middle. That's the only option I can see, because Eddie Nketiah does not bring what Lacazette brings in terms of hold-up play. So you don't play him. Martinelli does not bring the hold-up play, but that means you have to change your style of play so that he can get in behind. We are so easy to defend against at the moment, Lev, which is why we're not scoring 4 or 5. Because Lacazette, you can play a nice high line because he's got no pace to get in behind. When you play Martinelli through the middle, different tactics for us, but it's different tactics for the defenders, because he will get in behind. So I'd like to see it. A lot of people say it won't work because he's not a number 9 yet. I actually believe Martinelli is a number 9, but I don't think that he's there yet. I agree with that. But I think his future is definitely in the number 9 position. Whether that means he's going to play with somebody alongside him, or whether he's going to be that striker that we all hope he could be, is yet to be seen. But I think if Lacazette gets injured, we're going to have to see Martinelli through the middle, because there's no other option.
The funny thing is, Lacazette getting injured, it would be the worst thing that could happen to us, because we're pretty much covered in other areas. But Lacazette is somebody we can't cover. You mentioned Martinelli, and I think he's a great little player. Moving forward, we might have an issue with him, though, because if Arteta wants to play this way, he needs somebody that can link up the play as well as contribute with goals. Now, we know that Martinelli has everything to be a top striker. I think he's like an off-the-shoulder, almost like a Michael Owen type striker from back in the day. Off the shoulder, he can get in behind it, he can score goals, he's rapid. But the worry is, has he got that ability to play like that? And if he doesn't, then he's going to have to bring in another striker. And then what happens to Martinelli long term? It could be that he's destined to be in that sort of wide forward role long term. I don't know. But Lee, I mean, you've heard what Dan's saying in regards to this. I mean, how do you think we would cope without Lacazette, and what do you think we would do? Because do you agree with Dan in the sense that we would go with Martinelli up top? I know it seems like it's our only option, but then again, if you want my honest opinion, I think if it does happen, The one thing I could see Arteta doing is going with Eddie up front.
Yeah, I think I think that this would be the biggest test of it all. Like, you know what I mean? For me, Martinelli would be the obvious choice, because I know if you play Eddie, you've still got one of our best players not in the team, whether it be Martinelli or Emil Smith-Rowe. So if Lacazette was to come out of it, you still get Martinelli in the side, and you also get Smith-Rowe in the side, like, you know. And I still think Smith-Rowe, Martinelli, Odegaard, and Saka are all top players, but only four only goes into three if you're playing Lacazette. For me, I get that, and I understand that, you know, Lacazette. I wouldn't be too comfortable if you'd done that for Eddie. I think it's a little bit slightly different, if I'll be honest. But ultimately, I think that that it would be a big call if the manager put Eddie in there and it went wrong. I think people would question that big time. I think if we did lose Lacazette just for an injury or whatever, and then we got we went with Martinelli and things didn't happen, I think there'd be a little bit more tolerance towards it, the decision. But then I think people would come back at why didn't we sign someone, like, you know what I mean? Listen, if Lacazette could just add 3 or 4 goals to his game to the end of the season, it'd be enough. That's how big a role that he's got at the moment. I don't think he played bad again on Saturday, but what he did show on Saturday was that 3 games in 6 days, physically couldn't do it. He was jaded after 60 minutes. And don't what anybody says, his work rate has been phenomenal in the last few games. You cannot question his work rate and desire and everything like that. Unfortunately, you know, he's snapping at chances like, because I do think he feels maybe there is a little bit of pressure on him. The other one to do is what old Dan's favourite is also is Pepe, like, you know what I mean, like to come in there, like, you know. But listen, I'd rather see Pepe come on the team when we're 1-0 up than when we're 1-0 down, than instead of being 1-0 up. So basically, I don't want to see Pepe, because if, you know, when it comes to defending, my God, that is why I think that Mikel is not a great lover of him, like, because, you know, it was an awful defensive performance. But listen, when we needed a goal, and I don't forget this, when we needed him to turn up against Wolves, he turned up. So from an attacking point of view, I'm a big Pepe fan. But there are games when you got to dig in there and defend, and I just don't think that's like in his nature. Should I say that?
I think you're right. I think that's exactly why he hasn't been playing him, for his overall work rate and tracking back, etc. But I'm also in agreement with Dan in the sense of Martinelli being utilised. With 20 minutes to go, rather than take off someone like Martinelli and bring on someone else, or take off Lacazette and bring on Eddie, I'd rather shift Martinelli across, take off Lacazette, and have someone like Smith-Rowe or Pepe out wide, you know, for the last 20 minutes. It could change the game. Okay, so the defense has been used to having someone backing into him, hold the ball up. Last 20 minutes, give them something different to worry about. They're leggy, they're tired. You got a young lad running in behind. Why doesn't Arteta do that more? That's something that I don't understand. So, you know, he's got a point there, in my opinion, mate. But moving forward, I mean, we're going to probably go on for another 10-15 minutes. So you guys in the chats, if you've got any questions to chuck at us, or you want Dan or Lee to answer, please feel free to chuck the questions over. I can see one from GB already. So as we sweat on the fitness of players for the run-in, who does the panel see as the most vital out of Saka, Partey and Laka? And do they base that on their ceilings or their flaws of their replacements? I'll give that to Dan first.
So I know we've just been speaking about this in relation to what happens when one of them gets injured, but I'm actually going to go with someone different, because I think we've got options if Lacazette does go. I think we have got some options. We've said it there. One of them I don't like, obviously, is Eddie. We've got Pepe and Martinelli that could probably get there, and we have got goals by committee. I think Thomas Partey for me. Thomas Partey. I think the reason that we have shifted from this new dimension and that we have so good in midfield is because of this guy. And I think it's because of the way that he's playing in that anchor of midfield. I've not seen him play this well for a very long time. Haven't seen him play this well in an Arsenal shirt, and I don't think Lokonga or El Neni can do this job.
He's pushed Xhaka up a little bit further as well, hasn't he? He's pushed Xhaka up a little bit more.
And do you know what? It's a player I don't like, and me and Lee, argue about this all the time.
Trust me, I'm with you on this.
Me and Harry. But I don't like the guy. I don't actually like him. I know it sounds really harsh because I've never met him, but I don't like what he's done of the last 5 years. I don't like the way that he reacted
Careful,
against
Dan,
Palace.
because Lee's friends with family and everything.
I know it's hard. It's hard, and maybe if Lee sat next to Pepe once, he might like him as well. But I think when you look at it, the guy's been playing well. The guy's been playing well. He has. Granit Xhaka's been playing
Done a good job.
Yeah, but he's still got that ridiculous mistake in him. And it's going to come soon. It happened against Watford, didn't it? Where he comes with that ridiculous pass. They go and score. Sissoko scores, and it gives us an horrible 10 minutes. Terrible defending, by the way. I thought Ben White, that was poor, and Ramsdale. But Granit Xhaka's give that ball away. No need to.
Yeah.
Absolute stupid pass to try. And trying to be silly. And that's what he does. But where he's playing in this kind of left 8, I quite like it. I do quite like him in that role. And he's the best we've got there at the moment. He's definitely the best we've got there at the moment. And I don't think he'll be here for the long term. I think we've seen enough of it. I think we've all watched the Granit Xhaka movie long enough. And I think it'll be upgraded in the summer. But certainly have to give him a lot of credit. But the reason I think he's playing well, and Odegaard has been instrumental as well, by the way, is because Thomas Partey is doing the dirty work. Thomas Partey is sitting there in that anchor and he's sweeping up. And we haven't had a sweeper upper, have we, for a very, very long time. And I think now that's brought Odegaard into the mix. I have to give Saka a lot of praise as well on that right-hand side because, that kid can play in any position, man. It's just, I think sometimes we forget how good he is at his age. It's crazy. But Odegaard has been great with him. The link-up play on that right-hand side's been good. So to answer that question, for me, it would be Thomas Partey because I think that although Saka and Laka won't be replaced in terms of like for like, we've got options there. I don't think Partey, we've really got another holding midfielder. I can't see one, really. I think they're all a little bit box to box. Probably El Neni is the next one, and we've seen enough of him as well. So exactly. So I think although Saka would be massively missed, we have got Pepe, Smith Rowe that can come in and do a job. Laka would be missed. We have got Martinelli, Pepe, or Eddie Nketiah. With Partey, I just don't see another like for like with him. So I'm going to go with Partey as the most missed if he gets injured.
I'll have to agree with you. Lee, what do you think?
Yeah,
would you agree?
I totally agree. The thing is, if Saka gets injured, you can put Smith Rowe in there or Pepe. If on the other side, if it's Martinelli, Martinelli wasn't that missed against Aston Villa, if I'll be honest, because you put in Smith Rowe. I think you
forget how good Smith Rowe is until he came on. Like he offers something different to Martinelli,
he offers something different, completely different to us and all that.
Need them both on the pitch.
Yeah, but the one player we can't replace. Listen. I'm going to be really honest about it now. When Granit Xhaka gets injured, we haven't really been able to replace him. So if Partey gets injured, it's even worse. You know what I mean? Because he is a definite player. Someone just said in the chat there, would you go for Pogba? I mean, yeah.
I was going to raise that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, because he's better than Xhaka. Do you know what I mean? So what are you doing? You're improving the side, of course. You know what I mean? So, and I think the way that Arsenal play would suit somebody like
now
him. The
way we're set up with Xhaka in that slightly more advanced role, Pogba would do well there, no?
He would actually thrive in a sort of role like that, So, but listen, Granit Xhaka has done very, very well in the last few months since he's come back from injury, as has obviously Partey now, So it's a good partnership at the moment. If them two stay fit, I think that it's very, very key that Arsenal, because all of a sudden Arsenal would dominating midfields, which, to be honest, guys, I ain't seen Arsenal dominate midfields for a very, very long while. We've always been bullied and whatever, but then that's not happening no more. We're dominating midfields, and that means that we can then that gives us a launch to attack and get our more exciting players. So for me, Partey would be a massive loss. I think he's playing the World Cup qualifiers, and this, you know what I mean? I don't like that. The thought of that worries me.
Well, let's hope it's not going to affect us too much. But I mean, look, I agree with you guys. Partey is probably the one that we would miss the most. Although I have to say, another one I've got to hold my hands up to, Odegaard. I'm not going to hold, not in the sense that I didn't think he was a quality player. I did always know he was a quality, talented young lad, but I was dubious as to where he would fit in our team and whether he had the capacity to play that sort of role that he's playing now, sort of conducting almost and getting involved in everything. But it seems as game for game, he's just settled into the Prem now, and he's a totally different player. Like the way he's sort of those little interchanges and the little link ups with the likes of Saka and Lacazette, and he's like, so for me, I think Odegaard, if we lost him right now, yes, we could replace him with Smith Rowe, but you know, he's coming into his own right now, so I wouldn't like to lose him either. Here's another one. Here we go. Thibaut Pesk. If Arteta gets top 4, will Dan sing the Arteta song for us? I didn't even know. I don't know. Is there something behind this I don't know about, Dan?
Well, there's this Arteta song that's come out, isn't there, about us making the Champions League and all this stuff. And I just don't, it don't sit well with me, man. I don't think we should be trying to go for Champions League.
Will you sing it if we reach top 4 is the question,
No,
Dan?
I won't sing it because I don't believe that's where we're heading. I want to be heading towards the title, not heading towards the Champions League. That's my big thing about it. It might sound nice and it might rhyme and it might get everyone going, but we sacked a manager for getting us in the Champions League 20 years in a row. So why are we now getting really excited about heading back there? I just don't get it. I'd rather be going for a title personally. So that's why I won't sing it. But if we get in the top 4, I'll be eating humble pie. And I've said that for a few weeks now because I didn't think we were going to get there. I didn't think this manager was good enough. And if he does get us there, mate, I'm more than happy to accept that I was wrong about him not progressing us. And I can be a big man and say that. There's some Arsenal fans that can't. They won't accept it. They don't want to say, oh, I was wrong. And you get things wrong in football sometimes. You're not always right. That's what happens. No. It's opinions.
100%, mate. 100%. And you know what? Mentioning songs very quickly. I've never heard so many new songs at the Emirates recently. You know, that's another thing. We've been singing the same songs for how many years? All of a sudden, we've got this new array of songs, and that just says to me that the fans are starting to get excited again, and they're starting to be hyped about what they're seeing. So, you know, it's all good all around. Here's one for you, Lee, from Seb, who writes our articles. It's 1 year anniversary since he started writing articles, and thank you, Seb, for your contribution.
Big up, Seb.
Big up, Seb. Good lad. Would you still take Coutinho, he asks? I'll start with you, Lee.
Well, we need someone in that area still. I still think we need somebody but for me, you know, we've got Odegaard and we've got Smith Rowe. I don't really want to be pushing them out for him. I'm a big Coutinho fan, if I'll be honest. But
would you have gone for him when he was available before you would have?
Yeah, I like him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, listen, dare I say it? If we sold Pepe, I don't want to say that with Dan about, like, you know what I mean, and brought in Coutinho, I wouldn't be upset by that. But I'm still one of these people that believes in Pepe can still do it. I still think he's got a talent. You know, his ability wise, he's great. But I've been saying that for 3 years now. Like, do you know what I mean?
He kills me. He's so talented.
He's got so much ability on the ball, like so skillful and all that. But I don't know. You know what I mean? So, but Coutinho, very, very good player. I've got to say that, very, very good.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Dybala? There's rumours of Dybala being available in the summer window. Would you look at him, Dan?
Excuse me. No, I wouldn't. For the pure fact that I don't think he's the type of striker that we need. Yeah. And he's not really been on form, I don't feel, of late.
An enigma, isn't he? So, the name's been around for a while.
It's the name.
And every time I watch him, I'm not that impressed.
No, likewise. And I'd rather go for Núñez, if I'm honest. I'm liking this guy. I think he's an all-round number 9. I think Darwin Núñez, there's rumours that we're looking at him. He's on fire for Benfica. I think we played him a couple of years ago, if you remember, and he was really good. They're saying that he's the next Cavani. And I liked him then. I remember he was only about 20 years old, and I thought, who's this guy? He looks good. And he's the guy that I would go for because he's more of an all-round striker. I think Dybala is a very, very talented boy, but I don't think he's going to be that target man up front for us. And I think that we've got players like him that would probably be similar. So he's not the one that I think would take us forward. I also worry about his injury record, Dybala. He's not one that's always fit. So wouldn't be the one for me, no.
Okay, fair enough. And that's Dan's opinion on that. And this is one for you, Lee. I don't know if this is deliberate, but should Arsenal break the bank and get Sexline Rice to make a statement? Now, I'm guessing either really likes Declan Rice, and that's his nickname for him, or that's a typo. So is there anything I don't know about Sexline Rice?
Well, Declan Rice is one hell of a player, like, and it's a massive.
His brother Sexline's even better, I've heard.
Oh, yeah, and I think someone said 150 million You know what I mean? To sign him, I think that's out of everybody.
That's ridiculous. He ain't worth that much, is he, Christ?
No, I would rather go for someone like Pogba if to break the bank for that, or even someone like Jude Bellingham would be my ultimate choice. Even though, like, I would like to see someone like Declan Rice at the club, but I think it's too much money for what we need. That's
Lee's not paying 150,000 or 150 million for Sexley. So there you go. Okay, fair dues. So listen, what kind of midfielder should we be getting in the summer window then? Because everyone's got a different opinion. So I'd like to hear your thoughts of who's your ideal partner for Partey. Because when Partey first came in, a lot of people were saying he's not a DM, he's more of a box to box. Then now that he's doing that dirty work, he is that type of DM. So then, do we go for someone who's box to box? What do we go for, Dan?
We need two, mate. We need two. Because El Neni's going, and I think Granit Xhaka will go. Maitland-Niles hasn't got a future here. Guendouzi looks like he's out the door, or already gone, I think, to Marseille.
And he's just made the French squad as well. French national squad.
Don't even go there, bro. So I think we need two. It's frustrating we're not going in for Frank Kessie, if I'm honest with you. He's going to be
Isn't he got the Barca now?
Pretty much done, dusted, gone to Barca, which is a shame for me.
He would have been a good one.
Yeah, it's a shame that Bruno Guimaraes went to Newcastle because I think he's a talent and I think he would have been a great player for us.
Yeah. How did we lose him to Newcastle where they were and where we are?
Very strange.
Do you think that was just purely money or did we go in for him?
Clearly didn't want him, I think. I think he would have picked Arsenal still. I know Newcastle got the money and I know that they are on to bigger things in the next, 3 to 5 years. But for me, I think he would have been a now signing, not a 3 or 5 year signing because he was
great. It was great when I watched him the other day. Was it against City?
Superb.
Brilliant.
Superb. Yeah. Absolutely superb. So it's a shame we didn't go for that. The two that I'd probably go for would be Bissouma and Bellingham. They're the two that I would love to have. Bissouma and Bellingham. People are saying in the chat, Tielemans, not been impressed with him this year. I like him, not been impressed with him.
Great last season.
Yeah, he was, absolutely. And he is a great one. Wouldn't touch Pogba with a barge pole, mate. Wouldn't touch him. Terrible. Mentally, absolutely do not want another Ozil here. Thank you. On 250 to 300k a week, he'll want. I don't want to touch him, mate. I'd rather go for somebody better and more mentally stronger. So it's a shame about Kessie. I would go Bissouma and Jude Bellingham because I think one of them is for the now and proven in the Premier League in Bissouma and can do what Thomas Partey does, which I think is important as that anchor. And then that box to box and that left pivot at that number 8. For me, Jude Bellingham has the ceiling, which is, higher ceiling is an understatement. This kid looks unbelievable. And I really, really rate him. God knows how much he'll be, but I think I would rather go for him than somebody like Tielemans or somebody like you said earlier in Pogba. So they're the two I'd go for, Bissouma and Bellingham, if we had the money, if money was no option.
Fair enough. And Lee, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Or did you go for anyone different?
No, I agree with that. Like Bellingham would be a good one. Totally agree with what Dan's saying. We need to Bissouma's a big one for me. I've always been a favourite like that. So if you could play the pair of them in say Partey and Bissouma, but then if Partey was injured, you got Bissouma to come in there. Lokonga, I'd get him out on loan. I'd get him out on loan in the Premier League, a little bit like Crystal Palace, Chelsea have done with Conor. What's his name now? I can't think.
Gallagher.
Colin Gallagher. I'd go for him as well. I know Chelsea.
Yeah, I like him.
Please getting the checkbook out.
I do like him. He's a player that I would go for. Bellingham, as we just said, depending on what Tielemans is another one that I quite like. You know what I mean? I know that people go, "Oh, he ain't playing that well this season." His heart's not in it. You know what I mean? At Leicester,
he has been good for a few seasons. Not
fantastic. His he's not saying his heart's not in it. His head's somewhere else. It's not at Leicester no more. So those performances are not going to be there. So they would be the ones that I would go for. It's a great point. If you say, for instance, you replace Bellingham and Xhaka and El Neni with Bellingham and say
Bissouma.
Basuma, yeah, just say Basuma, like just that's a fantastic upgrade to what you've got going into the Champions League as well. And don't forget, with the Champions League, if we get to the Champions League, if we don't get Champions League, we've got Europa League. But you need to rotate those players as well. So you need to have like for like quality. You know, we haven't actually got like for like quality at the moment, like have we really? Like, you know, we've got two players, and the others, they're not quite as also that. So we need to get like for like quality.
Would you replace Cedric moving forward, or are you quite happy with his cover since Tomiyasu's been out?
That's a great question. I've been more than impressed with him at the moment. Like, you know what I mean?
Did you not find he was the weak link though in the big games? Like it seemed to me that Liverpool were targeting his side.
Yeah, because you know, I mean, you know, they wouldn't be targeting it so much if Tomiyasu was playing. Exactly. Don't forget, you know, he's the reason he's a backup is there's a reason for that. You know, so you know, it's. So if you're
he's done a pretty good job, not going to lie, he's done a pretty good job.
I'll go on to this. If you're a £30 million right back, you go right. Okay, well, you're going to be a backup to someone. You're not going to be absolutely like, you know, it takes a special person to be a backup. So for a backup, I would keep him as a backup. But if you're going to upgrade and like, then you're going to Tomiyasu's going to become your backup. Then you're talking. But you know, Tomiyasu's done fantastically well this season. So, yeah, you know, if you're a backup right back, you're going to get targeted. Like, you know, that's as simple as that. Simple as that.
No, fair enough. Just looking to see what else people were saying in the chats here. Some have mentioned Ward-Prowse and Sanderberg.
There's another one. I like his range of passing. I like the way that he, you know,
set pieces and crosses as well,
pieces and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like.
Ramsey from Villa is also someone's chucked that in there.
Ramsey's another one, yeah. You're very, very good player. Very, very good player.
So, look, are we in agreement that there are a number of players out there that would improve this team?
Cool. Yeah.
You know, it's not like these players are not available. We can get these players. You know, they're totally signable players. So, hopefully, we'll see even more improvement. A gentleman here. Chatania Cowell. I hope I've not done his name justice. Can you see Arteta and Edu selling Saliba to fund strikers in the summer? Dan.
It's going to be an interesting one, this one, isn't it?
This Saliba one is really...
because a player...
I think we need to keep this lad, personally. Yeah. I think he's going to be brilliant.
Got into the French squad, him and Guendouzi. It's crazy that they've not playing for Arsenal, really. Very, very disappointing that it's not worked out yet. But we signed Saliba 4 years ago now. Can you believe it? It's unbelievable. 4 seasons ago, should I say.
And people like Holding and Chambers played in our defence.
We had Holding, Chambers, Mustafi, David Luiz, Socrates. What is going on? So that was always my biggest bugbear. He's not ready, Dan. He's not ready. That's all people kept saying. And I thought, well, he might not be, but these guys definitely ain't ready either. So let's get the guy who's going to improve that ain't ready, yeah? £27 million, due a contract renewal, and he hasn't even kicked a ball for Arsenal yet. It's crazy. Never known a signing like it, if I'm honest with you. But he's been absolutely killing it in France. And not just for that team. Marseille, Nice, Saint-Etienne. He's been brilliant. I just hope that he can continue that form and bring it over to the Premier League. My biggest kind of worry or concern for the player is how he's going to fit into this first 11. I think if he's coming to Arsenal, he's a squad player. If he doesn't want to be, I think they'll get rid of him. So I think Arteta and Edu need to decide whether they want to play William Saliba or whether they want him as a backup. Now, I think personally, we should keep him as a backup and have the competition, because I need that competition, because I want to be going for titles and I want to be getting in top 4. So I think you're going to need a squad. So I think it's great for us to keep players like William Saliba. William Saliba, however, might think, if I am not going to get ahead of Ben White, then I'm going to stay here and play first-team football for Marseille in Europe, because Arsenal at the moment aren't in Europe. So I'm quite happy to sit here and play first-team football. But I'd like to think that those conversations have already taken place, Levin, that he's going to have a place in the squad next season, because he, for me, is a massive upgrade on Holding and Chambers, and a huge upgrade on Pablo Marie. So I'd love to see him as in an Arsenal shirt. I really would.
Lee, your thoughts? Because I personally think if Saliba gets a run, I could see him ousting one of those two. I really could.
You can do. You can play a back 3. You know,
Well,
what I mean?
that's the other thing I was going to ask. Is there a chance
options.
to change in formation to fit him in?
But at the end of the day, again, as I say, if you're playing Champions League, you and one of them gets injured, you need the moment Holding is the next one down, and there's a gap. It's a big gap. If you bring Saliba in, you know what I mean, there's not a gap, is it? You know what I mean? Some say it could be even better. So, you know, it's a no-brainer for me. He comes in and stakes a claim. You know, I think that I will look back on this. I've always said it. If we don't sell him, this has been the fantastic bit of business for what we've done here, because what we've done is we've got a player learning his trade away from us, not making mistakes, not sitting on the bench. He's now primed and ready to come in and play. I think it's a great move. You know what I mean? Like, if that is the way that they're going to go about doing it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're 18, 19, there's not many players. You know, you look at all the top central defenders. 18, 19, you know, probably not getting games. You know,
he came to London, lost his mum. You know, there was a load of stuff.
Lots of things. For me, you know, I think, you know, get him over here now. He's had 2 years at Marseille. Look, listen, he's got into the French squad through playing in France, so he's doing something right. So he's now so now get him back.
You know what? It could also be looked at like big club mentality, because the likes of City and Chelsea and those sort of teams historically have bought some of the best players and had them out on loan.
Yeah,
there and everywhere, and then bring them back all of a sudden. Or if not, the likes of De Bruyne ended up leaving, and Salah ended up leaving, and they ended up somewhere else. So look, it could go wrong. So let's hope we do keep him. We've been just over the hour mark now, so I'm going to sort of start to wrap it up, guys. Firstly, I want to ask you very quickly, do you think we're going to get top four? And I want you to answer that with your heart and your head. Like, honestly, just tell me if you think we're going to make it. Dan?
Yes, I do. I think we will. And the reason I think that is because I think that we're probably the most balanced. I think we're the better team defensively. And I do think we've got the best 11. I really do. I do. If you do a combined 11 between West Ham, Arsenal, Manchester United and Spurs, I think I'd put 5 or 6 Arsenal players in it. Like, no doubt I would. It's particularly on form at the moment. Odegaard's, Partey's, Ramsdale's, Tomiyasu's, Tierney's, Gabriel's, maybe even Ben White's, Saka's. They'd all get in there. You know, of course, you'd have Harry Kane and Son, and you'd probably put Bruno Fernandes on a good day in there. Some people might want to put Ronaldo in there. Declan Rice may go forward. But other than that, are we really saying... Say again?
Or Sexline Rice, don't forget.
Or Sexline Rice, because he's a good player also.
He's really good as well.
So, you know, in all seriousness, would we be putting many more players than that? I don't know that we would. So we can't sit there and say, you know, wow, these teams are so much better than us. I think we'll do it. I think I'm with Lee, though. 7 wins. Yes, I agree. That means if you count up the games that we should win on paper, we have to beat one of Tottenham, Chelsea, West Ham or Man United. And that, for me, is going to be key. I think, like Lee says, next 3 games, take 9 points, and I think we will be very, very, I say very quietly confident that top 4 will be ours. I think we'll do it, Lev, yeah.
Wow, that's good. That's confident. And look, just to show how quickly fans don't mess around. Look, we've only just been talking about this for a few minutes. Dan mentioned a combined team, and someone's already come out with a combined.
Oh, yeah, that
was quick.
Seb's not messing around already. I'm sure he's got a few of those tucked away. That's a pretty decent side. Someone else quite sort of eloquently perfectly put it, really. Out of the top 4 teams, we're the really good team with the average striker. And someone like Spurs or an average team with a really good striker or a great striker in this case. So it could make all the difference. Lee, we're going to make top 4, mate.
Yeah,
put your neck on the block. Get off that fence.
No,
put your flip-flops down.
I think that we will because of our defence. I think defensively we're the best. I think our defence is very, very good, and I think like clean sheets, we're getting lots of clean sheets. I can't remember the last time we got all these clean sheets in a season.
Better midfield than Man United and Spurs right now, no?
Say again?
Better midfield than Man United and Spurs right now, no?
But I think that defensively we're in a very, very good shape. Ben White, by the way, is getting better and better and better as the season goes on.
Yeah, he has impressed me.
He's been very, very impressive. So I think that get Tomiyasu back in there, that will strengthen that team up now. I'd hope that he'd be getting himself really fit over these next 2 weeks to be at least challenging back into the team. and I think Arsenal's defence will be good enough to get 3 or 4 more clean sheets, and that'll be enough. Yeah. So
there you go, guys. You've heard it first on the Arsenal Lounge. We're making top 4. So go home, have your beers, celebrate, because it's happening by the sounds of it. Someone else has also said another one we could have mentioned. Souček, West Ham midfield. Souček, any
quality player.
Would he improve us? Could he play next to Partey?
Yeah, I think he's better.
I think he's a very good player, but we need to someone a little bit more
better. Yeah,
someone better.
I think someone.
Yeah,
someone better. By the way, France are quite a good side, and someone's called Pepe. He's just scored against them. He's not very good, but he's just scored against France. Just to throw that one in there, Lee.
Well done, Pepe.
Lee, did you meet any famous people whilst you were, over the last few days, last week or so? Just before I let you go, mate.
Well, quickly, just I had an evening with Paul Merson last night. What a guy! Don't ever anybody doubt that his love for Arsenal. First thing he said to me when we walked in was like, "Yeah, Arsenal doing well now." Like, you know what I mean? Yes, he likes Chelsea. Yes, he supported Chelsea, but Arsenal's in his heart. He actually said yesterday, "I would not be here. I would not have anything in my life work-wise now if it wasn't for Arsenal Football Club." End of. Legend. What a player he was, by the way, as well.
He was.
An all-round nice guy.
And he's come through some trials and tribulations and what he's done with himself. You got to give him a lot of respect for that. Not everyone's managed to come back from those sort of things. So props to him. And thank you for that story, Lee. Next time I have you on, every time I ask you, it's going to be the name drop. That's what it's
no worries.
We'll call it the name drop segment, and you can tell us anything you want. So, guys, before I let you go, do you want to let the guys in the chat know where they could find you? Not they don't know, but Dan?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on social media at DanArsenal87 if you want to. And me and Lee are always on YouTube together on Lee Judges TV. So get yourself over to that channel also. And just to let you know, France have equalised. Somebody called Olivier Giroud has scored. So,
not a Pepe goal. Not a Pepe goal.
Not a Pepe goal. No, it wasn't. But cheers for having me on, Lev. In all seriousness, always a pleasure coming on with you, man.
No, man.
Is that on telly, that game, is it?
I don't know.
All right, I'll let you go so you can go and watch it, Lee. And Lee, is there anything you want to add to the guys in the chat?
No, Dan said it all. Like, you know what I mean? Look, listen, thanks for having a fantastic channel you boys are doing, and smashing it now. Like, and I've got a lot of time for you guys, as you well know. Like, yeah.
Well, apparently the figures have gone up since Shaheen's not been around. That's what people are saying. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying. It's just
exactly.
The way it is. But Shaheen, if you want to wish him a happy Nowruz, it was Iranian New Year, which is why he hasn't been on this week. But he's also now got COVID. I've never seen someone get COVID more times than Shaheen. Like, he goes out, gets COVID, comes home, goes out again, gets COVID. It's just, don't go out with Shaheen. That's the moral of the story.
That's it.
Don't share a shisha with him.
Certainly, when you're coming out for a drink, well, you know what I mean? You know what the answer is now, Shaheen?
No, mate. No one's going out with Shaheen. So if you don't want to catch COVID, avoid Shaheen. So on that note, guys, it's been a pleasure having you guys. Brilliant in the chat as well. Thank you for everyone who have come and supporting us. Put in the comments who you think, if we think we're going to make top 4. Also put in the comments how, if you want Shaheen back hosting or not. That'll be interesting as well. Rate him out of 10. 10 being amazing, 1 being awful. Let us know what your thoughts on Shaheen is as well. And that is it. So guys, this has been the Arsenal Lounge. This has been Judges and Pots. We're out of here. Peace out.